Mm, 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 mm. Made in a London city, lost at home, still I zone out deep in the London city. Prejudice comes, prejudice goes, it's what I know. Used to the cold, made in a London city. Still I make London gritty. I'ma take London.
I'm Omar Wilson. Omar or Wilson, call me whatever you like. The question that I'm going to ask to everybody that you can answer yourself. If you walked into a room and two people wasn't talking and you couldn't see that, do you think you would feel awkward? But ponder on that. So it kind of began for me at a really young age when I was diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia. ADHD is like hyperactivity disorder, and dyslexia is learning difficulties, reading and writing and stuff. So once I was diagnosed with that, it kind of gave me my reason. That's the reason I can't do that. That's the reason. What? So anytime I was in class and read, no, I got my reason. So that kind of played out, and I was very hyperactive, and I had a younger brother and an older sister. And in the area where I'm from, everybody had family. Everybody had family. And I'm saying family that had names, so nobody would touch him because his older brother's somebody, and nobody touch him because his older cousin's a madman, and nobody would touch him because he's that one's cousin's brother. And it was a bit like that. So I felt alone. I didn't have that. It was just me and my little brother and my older sister. And I felt like as the older boy, I had to be that person, because I didn't want my little brother to get bullied, and I didn't want nobody to touch my older sister. So I kind of played this role. And within playing this role, I met this guy, and he was a bit older than me, and he kind of humbled me. He protected me and he humbled me a bit for about a good 2 years, and he became a good role model to me. But he was killed. But he was a good guy, really good guy. Like he didn't do half the madness I done. And I was 13 at the time, he was 15. And he was walking 4 of his friends home after they went cinema. Dropped one off, dropped the other, and he was finally walking home by himself. And he got stabbed because of mistaken identity. And in my mind, he was such a good guy. So it was like, I have no chance being a good guy. There was no chance of me being a good guy. So I just continued on this reign, and I needed money because my household was struggling, and single parent household. So in my area, it was drugs. Because I built up such a ranking, I was able to access drugs, and I was selling drugs for a long time, like the most of 10, 11 years. And during that, I managed to get my youth work level 3, and I managed to try and open up a youth work business because that was my passion. But I was so tainted by money, I couldn't follow through with that because I was busy. I had to secure my money and do all of that. So that journey led me to prison, and it didn't stop in prison. I was the same guy. I got access to things. I was selling drugs. I was a really bad guy in prison. I was on basic a lot, which is where they take your TV and you're basically locked up for 23 hours a day. And I was on that a lot, man, for like 7 days at a time. And then they review you, and then your review's rubbish, another 7 days. And because it was my first time in prison, I kind of just opted in for every single course. Like, put me on everything. Because I don't want to be in my cell 24/7. Put me on everything. So I went to the one I liked was AA, because everybody in there, the stories were brilliant. Like, I learned a lot from them. But all courses were repetitive. People telling you what to do, what not to do. It was stuff like, oh, why is drugs bad? This, that. And we all know these things, but we just do it to try and get a good status so we can get out early. And let me tell you, I was hard to handle. I was the class clown in all of those. I would make everybody laugh in an instant, and that just kind of fueled my fire. So when it came to be on recovery, I was geared up, just ready to be that class clown. And they had some coffee and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is different. Got a coffee and that. And the ladies were smiling like not just normal, like super smiling, which was weird. So it's just like, wow, like it looked like they really wanted to be there. And in prison, nobody wants to be there. Not even the teachers, not the prison staff, not the prison, nobody wants to be there. So these ladies here smiling like they wanted to be there was just weird. So we enter the room and I'm just ready to be the class clown and stuff. And at the time, I didn't know that the secret weapon that she used was curiosity. And then I realized that with curiosity, everything falls away. Your judgment, your perception, everything falls away. And you just want to know whatever you want to know with curiosity. So we're in this room and I'm talking to people and stuff. And then Jacqueline begins to speak. And she came with this story that was full of curiosity. But I'll tell you the story because I can't articulate it another way. But she said her son borrowed her money. No, she borrowed her son money. And they made a little deal that he was going to pay her back on a certain date. And she expected it on that date because maybe she needed it or whatever, but she wanted it on that date. And he didn't pay her on that date. So she was mad. And then she said to everybody, who made me mad in this situation? Now, obviously, a room full of like 10 guys, we all felt like we knew who made her mad. Obviously, it's your son. He's an idiot. He should have paid you this time. We're giving her payment plans. We're telling her all these things. And she kind of stopped us and said, well, like, okay, so like, obviously we're right. We know we're right in a way. And she said, no, it wasn't him. It was me. Now, from the time she said it was me, I had this curiosity setting. The only way I can explain it was I knew I was right, but I wanted to see, I needed to hear her response to know if I was right, if that made sense. So I was curious to hear what she was going to say next. And let me tell you, from there on, I was enlightened because she basically told us it was her thought process. She expected him to pay her back. Now, if she was a billionaire and she didn't care about that, would she still value that? Or is it because she valued that money and that date or that contract? So it went into a whole spiral, and I consider myself a hard-headed guy. Like I have to burn myself to know if fire's hot or not. You can't tell me fire's hot. I got to put my hand in it to see if it's hot, and then I would know for myself. So with the 3 principles, I was just experimenting, and it came to another one of the bad days where they took my TV and I was on basic regime, and I had these books that Jacqueline gave me and a dictionary because I was trying to write letters and stuff. And in the space of 2 weeks, I taught myself to read and write on a good level. And then I found out that I love reading. And for the best of 20, 24, 25 years, dyslexia and ADHD, I kind of told myself that I don't like reading. I don't like doing this. I can't do it. But that wasn't real. That was the thought process that I carried for 24, 25 years. But in the space of 2 weeks, it shattered because I was reading this book and I loved the book. The book's called The Modello, beautiful book. And it's thick and it's like, I read the whole thing. And I loved the book and I read it more than once, and there was a couple other, and I asked for more books, and I never knew I loved reading. But because I did it and I tried it and I experimented it for myself, that ADHD and that dyslexia, it dropped. I no longer have that. I would say that. I no longer have ADHD and dyslexia. That was something I made up and held with my thought process. So after that, I kind of just feel, what else isn't real? What else isn't real? The lifestyle that I chose, the thought process that I built up, the reason why I had to sell drugs, the reason why I thought drugs was the only option. How real was that? And I only kind of got to test that when I came out of prison. And I had no money. And obviously my friends, they were still in it. And I was back in the same area. And obviously they're giving me some drugs to say, yeah, get back on it, get some money for yourself. And it didn't feel right. And Now I know that feeling is telling me that, yo, your head is not in the right place because you're not feeling good. So I turned down the drugs. I said, no, I'm all right. And I continued, and that felt good. So I said, oh, okay, I'm going to follow that feeling. So the way I navigate now is just through that good feeling. I know that when I'm not feeling good, I'm in my head somewhere and I need to chill out for a sec. But I know when I'm feeling good, like right now, when I'm speaking, I'm feeling good. So I follow that feeling.
I'ma take London with me.